Right, Slaney, we're here. Open Goal Fans Forum brought to you by who?
Glen's Vodka, one of their best sponsors that has ever been, isn't he?
100% Manager of the Month Awards. Joined by a live audience as well, some social media fan influencers for various clubs in Scottish Premiership who will have their chance to ask questions, challenge the panel on their team's situation going into the split.
Thank fuck Faddy's
there you go.
Told you used to edit it. Rubbish.
No, thank God Faddy's here. The last time I think a few people asked me and it was nothing short of an embarrassment, the answer I gave back, wasn't it? No.
You've done your homework though, haven't you?
You're
ready tonight.
No, I know my stuff. I've been watching a lot of games now. I think I should have been doing that for years, shouldn't have? But I'm here tonight.
Right, what we're starting with, we're joined by Bobby Nwanze, the Rangers fan. Bobby, give us a bit. Stand up actually. Give us a twirl, mate.
Go on, Bobby!
Oh, Bobby! Big round of applause for Bobby! Alright, we'll ask the panel first. Day after Rangers lost the Celtic Scottish Cup final, what's your feelings about things at Rangers under Michael Beale so far? Kevin Kyle, ex-Rangers legend.
Oh, fucking hell.
By the way, Gogsy, that's one of the best shirts I've ever seen.
Amazing.
Gogsy, come on up the stage and show the audience. This is fucking outstanding. Come on, Gogsy! Come on, Gogsy! Yes! Go on there, Gogsy boy. He didn't want that, didn't he?
No.
Didn't need it.
Right, my opinion on Michael Beale and Rangers. I don't think they've no troubled Celtic too much. They played a bit better yesterday, but Celtic were shit and they still couldn't beat them, so I'd be worried. But you as a Rangers fan, Bobby, I think you probably wait till the big transfer window in the summer. Possibly maybe 10 players coming out, maybe needing 10 or 12 come in. That's a big transition.
Yeah, I think the starting lineup, I think we'll be very surprised to see if they actually come back in the summer if we keep them on. You're looking at the quality of Raskin and Cantwell. You can only hope Beale looks at that kind of quality, but personally, watching the game, I was at the game, and to be honest, I think majority of Rangers fans knew we weren't going to win, but we'll hope. I didn't think we were going to get pumped or anything like that. We've gifted Celtic so many goals in the last few fixtures, and the way we gifted that, it just basically sums us up. And with Sakala missing the open goal, that sums up our season, to be honest. So
sums up Sakala, really.
What players would you keep in, Bobby, for that starting lineup yesterday?
Some people might not agree with that, but I'd get rid of Tav.
Wow.
I just think to myself, Borna, I think everyone will agree with Borna. I'd keep Goldson, obviously. Davies, Lonnie's not been the best this season, but I think he knows that. But I don't really like when players come out and say, I know I'm not playing well. So if you know you're not playing well, what are you doing to fix it? Do you know? So keep him, Cantwell, the midfield, the front three, look. Cantwell kept running with the ball. Sorry, I'll answer your question. I'd keep the middle three. Sell Tav. McGregor's been a great servant, but he shouldn't be in goals for us anymore. Bonner's got to go. The front three, listen, I'd drive them out of Glasgow personally. Honest to God. Ryan Kent, I think that sums him up. I think he's done. Morelos, enough said, to be honest.
I think you look better on the Rangers shirt than Morelos does.
I think so.
Yours is tight.
I'm a big boy, mate. Square to go.
If you're selling Tav, how much are you getting for a 30-year-old right back? And you're going to go and get somebody a lot better?
We won't get much, obviously, but for me going forward, I just feel our back four can't keep clean sheets. We can't defend. You're talking about Celtic, they'll never have an easy day like that ever again. But we, for some reason, cannot keep clean sheets. And it's the back post, Borna and Tav. It's like they go to sleep all the time. And it's comical, but now it's actually expected. So for me personally, Beale, listen, I wasn't happy or excited with the appointment, but it is what it is. He's done okay. But at the end of the day, if you're a Rangers fan, there's only one title to be number one in Glasgow, and right now we're not. So good luck to the guy, and we shall see what happens.
Bobby, cheers. Can I ask the panel, do you think that Michael Beale has made a big improvement since he's came in, and do you believe he is the right man going forward?
I think it's hard because obviously the performances under Gio were getting to the point where it wasn't great. They didn't look competitive, but I think it was only Ange and Callum Davidson that had beaten him domestically under his whole tenure at Ibrox, which you're there to go and obviously win the league, gets them to a Europa League final, wins the Scottish Cup. They go through a bad spell, but what manager hasn't been through a bad spell? I think Michael Beale's come in and he said quite a lot that he's got his fingerprints on the current squad anyway, because he was part of the the team before that brought them in. He was going to make signings in January that were going to make them better. I think you summed it up, Bobby, with Rangers fans. I know you don't speak for every single one of them, but you personally didn't believe you could win the game. I think for certainly the first half, it looked to me as if the Rangers players didn't believe they could win the game. And you're talking about, Celtic not being great. Rangers put plenty of balls towards the back post. Celtic defended them. They put plenty of balls into the middle of the box. Celtic defended them. That one moment, Rangers switch off and Celtic score a goal that we must have seen 40 times this season.
But in the last fixtures against Celtic, you've seen the goals we've gifted them. Celtic have not had to come out of, they go on with this saying we don't stop, but Celtic didn't really play well today. They didn't have to. And I think that sums up for me. Yes, they had possession, so did we, but
it depends how you look at gifted, though, because
you don't go to sleep, you play the whistle.
Oh, 100%, but you still need to take the opportunity as it comes. Maida's running away for goal towards the touchline. He takes a great touch. As soon as he goes to swing his foot, Jota's off. So as much as the opportunities are maybe gifted, where that one you switch off, Celtic take them. The game at Celtic Park, people say it was a Suter mistake and a Ben Davies mistake, but there's players that are asked to play under pressure that are making bad decisions because they're under pressure, not because they're gifting opportunities. Celtic are working to work those opportunities to go and get them. So when you look at it and say, well, they were gifts, well, you're forced into make mistakes. Does that mean it's any more a gift and good pressure for the team that you're playing against?
Would you keep Tavernier, Faddy, if you were Rangers manager?
100 goals for Rangers for right back. I think there has to be the problem they've got is there's nobody behind them. There's nobody challenging them or pushing them. But when Rangers, you want to go and see Rangers going forward and attacking teams and controlling games, when they're doing that, Tavernier's one of the best players. Defensively, there's always got to be a question mark, but if he's asked to play high and wide and cover, like the goal yesterday, it's terrible defending. He needs to see it, he needs to switch on. But I think that few weeks ago he was inducted into the Rangers Hall of Fame. I wouldn't have been a rush to get rid of him, but what I think you need in any squad is competition.
And that's the thing, sorry cutting there, but that's the thing, we don't have that. And you're looking at going forward, Beale's going to look at a new rebuild. We want to play passing from the back, we want to play attacking football. Is he going to be around to be able to do that? And I don't think so.
Would you pay the $5 million for Tillman?
No.
Implies that,
innit? I'm being serious. No, I wouldn't.
Bobby, you've been superb, mate, haven't you?
Yes,
big round of applause for Bobby, boy. Bobby, brilliant.
Here's Bobby.
We were joined by Callum from Celtic Fans TV. He was an absolute superstar the last time, Si. You loved him, didn't you, the last time?
Look at him, he's a handsome boy.
Nearly as good as that haircut.
That's a shocker, man.
Tux.
He's done his, isn't he? That's the last thing I needed. Were you at the game yesterday?
Of course I was, mate.
And what did you make it?
Horrible.
Did you actually?
Horrible, mate. I like, just as a fan and taking it in, these games never go smooth the way you want them to, even though when you go into the game you think that, right, we're better on every single stage. Rangers, as I've spoken to some of the boys before this, you could actually take the boys for Hearts or Hibs and put them in Rangers frontline and they're better than what Rangers frontline is. You could take like Eli Yuhan for Hibs and Nisbet and it's better than what Kent and Morelos would give you. So I seen a stat, Morelos and Kent have had 44 appearances against Celtic and they've got 6 goals in 44 games combined. Kyogo and Jota have had 4 this season and have 8 goals.
Wow.
And it tells you where everything needs to be.
So see, times in the second half yesterday were you getting frustrated when Celtic won, they sort of getting out their own half, or were you quite happy with that because they were winning?
No, not really frustrated. It's more Celtic have a way of playing and it's never ever changed. And do you remember that famous clip with Ange? And he says, look, if other teams want to stop, that's fine. We'll take that. That's what happened. It genuinely happened there. Rangers stopped for a split. 5 seconds, boom, goal. Just it happens, and it's happened all season. You look at the Kyogo goal at Ibrox, they just stop for a wee minute when Ryan Jack tackles Aaron Moy, falls to Kyogo, boom. It's happened throughout all these games. Rangers had a game plan yesterday to counteract Celtic's game plan, so they never actually had a plan of, right, how do we win, how do we go on the front foot and try and beat Celtic. It was more, how do we stop Celtic from getting too many goals, because in the last few games they've scored and scored and scored. So they've done one part well by not obviously conceding more than one goal, but they never had anything up front to then get at Celtic and hurt Celtic. They had a few shots that were kind of powder puff, they were for distance.
But does it worry you that Celtic's performance isn't as strong against Rangers in the last couple of games than it is against other teams?
No, because Rangers are
good team.
Obviously, I'm going to want to battle Rangers, right? But like Rangers aren't a bad team. They're not. Like they are good in certain games and certain spells, and they do things well. They actually played with almost like a 5-5. At times, they never had really any up front. They almost allowed Carter Vickers and Starfelt to give it to the fullbacks, and as soon as the fullback get the ball, you've almost got 3 players coming over to that side, and then when it goes to the next, they shift across again, and they just move very well. So Raskin sat in front of the back 4, and him and Lundstrom sometimes changed, and it almost broke Celtic up because Celtic wanted to just try and play. But that's credit to Rangers. You have to give credit as well, because Rangers are stopping what Celtic are trying to do, but eventually quality will tell, and Rangers are probably a better team going forward than they are going back. As Bobby says, they can't really defend. So when you're going to do that against the best team in the country, you're probably going to get punished sooner or later, and that's what happened.
Do you think he's an upgrade on Juranovic, Johnson?
Yeah,
because he's better defensively.
Do you remember we spoke about Juranovic last time, and he'd moved to Berlin for 7 million, and it was almost a bit deflating because you thought, Celtic are only going to get that. But I was asked on the channel yesterday, like, how
I'm
do you make...
glad you're getting your own channel in there. I like that.
Cheers.
I would do the same.
So we're talking about how do you make the team even better, but you trust Andrew with what he does, because I think Johnson's an upgrade. He's probably not as good going forward as Juranovic is in the final third at putting crosses in, but he's very good defensively. I mean, Kent, since he's came in, has not really had a sniff in these games against him. He's physical. He plays a great ball with his left foot. He ends up, I think it's Kent that chases him actually back the way, and he ends up playing it. He falls to the ground. He hits it with the left foot, and he gives it to Jota running right in. It's a terrific ball. But Faddy talks about Starfelt. He plays on the left side of centre back, and he's right footed, so he looks unnatural, as you would, to be fair, but he's just, honestly, he's so good, and it's ever since, I think it was Hugh Keevans called him a bomb scare, and that it's like almost that just stuck with him. I'm telling you, they've never lost a game, Carter Vickers and Starfelt, since they've been
It's just how he looks. He looks like
started.
he's going to make a mistake.
He gives you that presence.
Aye.
Do you know
But
that
he'll take the ball and he'll pass it left and right foot. He doesn't look as good as a Carter Vickers stepping out and playing the pass, but he still takes it and he still plays the passes. But I just love how aggressive he is.
Do you know the thing is, they're not actually that tall. The two of them are the tall centre backs, but tell you something, they can win a ball in the air. I think Carter Vickers, he almost pins you in, and then as soon as he pins you, it's like a striker, he then rolls you, he just moves Morelos out the way, bang, and he wins every ball. And I mean, he was just, honestly, Carter Vickers was solid yesterday. He put his head in where it had.
Considering he needs an op as well, is remarkable.
Aye, exactly. So I actually said, we spoke about how lucky it is to be Celtic fans right now, especially in this era. If you look since, don't want to rub into Bobby, but I'm going to. Bobby,
Bobby boy.
He says that
Don't
Tavernier
shite
should
it
be
back,
sold.
Bobby.
I don't think Tavernier should be sold. Stay as long as he wants, mate. Stay, because if you look at Tavernier's history in this country, right, I think it was he joined in 2015. He won the Scottish Championship. He came up. Celtic won a treble, another treble, another treble, another
that's
treble.
plenty.
Then you won a league when there was no fans, and then we won a treble. And it's looking that way, Bobby, my man. Looks like we've beat you in the League Cup final. Well, playing Inverness. The final obviously put you out, so I mean, Tavernier and Barisic should stay. To be fair, I hope Pierre gets the chequebook out.
I know we've moved on, but see, do you know how you're talking about the players that need to leave? And one of the biggest criticisms of Rangers has been the recruitment. But now obviously Ross Wilson's gone. Do you trust that Michael Beale can get the players? Because it's going to have to be, 8 or 9 players out, maybe the same in at least. Do you trust him to be the man that charged with doing that?
Honestly, I think I'm on the fence with that one, because we all know moving more than 4 or 5 players in a transfer window is very tough, especially wages come into the conversation. Also, some players just want to stay on the wages they've got in contracts. I don't know if I trust them, but all I know, there's no point bringing him to the club if you're not going to allow him to manoeuvre. So I'm just going to leave that guy. Let him enjoy himself.
You were going to say
I'll let him enjoy himself. Let him enjoy his little parade.
The mic,
No.
Let's go, Bobby.
Do you know, it's alright to make noise right now, but it's nice that they have a little voice and stuff like that, and he can drink his little pint and enjoy himself.
I was going to say, down at the training ground, you have the world's most successful football club. I think the letters will start to get peeled off soon. By the way,
I need to watch what I say.
That's one. We're only one major trophy behind Rangers. One. I mean, they're kind of running a little bit scared
Is
here.
this counting this year's League and Cup?
That's counting it. So we go up to, I'm sure it goes up to 116 and they're on 117 major honours, and they say, well, the world's most successful. They've won this, they've won that.
They've won the Challenge Cup though. You need to bear that.
That's
Wee man, listen, hey. Just you relax. Right?
Even Livingston
No,
fans are
listen,
getting to you.
listen. I like Davey, right? So just you relax. Go on, wee man, keep talking.
Wait, what do you want to see Celtic do in the summer to ensure success continues under Ange?
Probably get in some more physical players. If you look at the Europe, I think Celtic are a very small team, and that kind of tells. Rangers were quite physical yesterday. We've not even touched on Don Robertson. I mean, the Lundstrom. You seen Jago get sent off.
That
for
wasn't a red.
And it wasn't a red. But Lundstrom one's even worse than what Jago done. So the
Looked
rule,
worse. I don't think it was.
rule, because if you've got a high foot stud showing
Keep
2 feet
trying.
off the
I
ground,
mean, you need to catch.
right?
You need to-
No, I get that right, but it could be endangering an opponent the way football is nowadays, right?
You're
So
catching it.
you've got
Listen,
that
you
right.
won the game.
Yeah, there's right.
Let that one
I know.
go.
But we'll just bring this
That
up.
wasn't a red.
Barisic's gone down like he's been shot for somebody in the crowd. He should have been sent off for a second yellow. Then the handball, he's playing volleyball with the handball up there.
You've
No,
got
so
a better argument with that. The other one.
exactly. So there's so many things, but where I need Celtic to get better is they need a bit more physicality. The biggest game that we've seen it this year was probably Leipzig away. Do you remember the boy Silkman at right back? Remember him? I think he's like 6'4". He's an absolute monster. He can run as quick as anybody. He's physically the strongest. That you can actually get, and Celtic need to try and become like an Ajax, a Benfica, get the gems like they did with Hatatis, but they need somebody a little bit taller, a little bit more stronger. I think there's a boy for PSV, like what's the midfielder? Is it Sangria, the boy? And he's a big unit. I think PSV signed him for like €3 million. Celtic need to try and beat PSV to signings like that, because now PSV are going to make 30-40 million euros on them. So Celtic, to get better in Europe, probably have to
Is this
get...
you questioning the recruitment at Celtic?
No, he's asking me how to become a better club and how to actually compete in Europe, because when you look at Real Madrid's a different level, fair dues, but Shakhtar as well, like they've got those type of Ukrainian boys. Scotland have seen it at the Euros as well. They were physical. Remember Ukraine beat us? They were just, everybody looks physical. Gordon Strachan get battered in this country because they said, we've not got the height in Europe's. If you look across Germany and Holland, they're all 6 foot odds and they're all athletes. We're quite small. John McGinn, Andy Robertson, Kieran Tierney, they're all small. So is that a factor? I probably think it is at a certain point. Quality will shine, yeah, I get that, and that's why we're winning every game here.
But do you know, I think the...
You might get signed for Celtic in the summer, Kev.
Do you know I think on the European
I'm far
games,
too big.
You look at the game,
You're too big, Kev, that's why you signed for
know.
Rangers.
look at the
I know.
European games, and it was chances missed.
know.
It wasn't overrun. It wasn't physicality. Celtic missed chances, and the other teams didn't.
No, that's a good point.
Your
but-
best players are Kyogo, Hatate, McGregor. You've just said Starfelt and Carter Vickers on there. So would you get them out and bring in more physical players, or you just mean to fill up the squad and help them?
Aye, so somebody that I seen yesterday is Awata. He's quite physical.
Aye.
He's a lot more strong. He gives you, see, as soon as he comes on, he gives you that bit of steel in the middle of the park. So you know that if somebody's going for a 50-50, he's quite strong. I don't really see Hatate as one that goes for a 50-50 and wants to go into it. And Kyogo's not really the same. I mean, Kyogo yesterday was just an animal. I mean, the amount of running that the guy does is just unbelievable. So if you're wanting to get better, that's just my own opinion. Is I think Celtic need to probably get just 3 or 4 bodies that are a little bit tall, like your Victor Wanyama style. Somebody that's just a bit of an animal but can play just as good as Hatate can. And I think that will obviously help Celtic in Europe.
Kev, if Ange wins the treble, where do you rank him compared to other Celtic greats?
You love John Barnes, didn't you?
Fucking John Barnes. He's right up there with your Martin O'Neills and your Lenny's and stuff in terms of Brendan Rodgers era. Is he got a better than Brendan Rodgers? I would think his team.
Also watching the football in the stands.
That's the style, innit?
Aye.
As soon as you come into Celtic Park, you're always judged as what brand are you bringing, what style are you bringing. And I remember when obviously Neil Lennon got appointed after the cup final against Hearts, and everybody was a bit deflated because you kind of knew that the style wasn't really there. And somebody like, I'm not obviously bashing the guy because he's brought us so much success, but you kind of knew that Rangers almost could sneak back in and compete. I think Ange is almost in the same bracket as Rodgers, where as long as Rodgers was here, he was always going to win. That was just, it just was that level, and I'd probably put Ange into that category. And people like Fadi, I was saying about a bit of physicality. There's a great point, Juranovic and Johnson. So maybe no as tall, but just a bit more stronger. If you could get 2 or 3 more Johnson-like players that are just a bit steel, can run. I mean, like Johnson just doesn't tire at all. He just runs all the time. So if you add 2 or 3 more to that team, I think that's how we become a little bit stronger and you last a little bit more in Europe probably.
So would you have Brendan Rodgers above Ange?
Well, obviously in success you would say yeah, but in football watching it, I would say no, because you've got to think as well, when Rodgers was here, he was coming up against a Rangers team that were obviously building through certain years. Obviously, they were still spending a bit of money, to be fair, but Andrews came in against a team that was in a European final. So he's obviously doing something right, and it's no, like Kev obviously says, that maybe the level's no great or because the Rangers are having a wee bit of the house isn't in order. Well, that's nothing to do with us. Like we just take every game as it comes, and Ange has done that, and he genuinely has that motto of one game at a time, and we never stop, and that's why we seem to win all these games.
Right, this is the one I've been waiting on.
My God, he looks terrified.
He's not said a word since he got in here. Faddy's nemesis, Adam.
Wow, and he's got him out, I know, hasn't he?
He's got him out.
He got him out.
He's got a wish.
I'm shaking like a shitting dog.
Oh! Are you proud, aye? Happy?
Not particularly proud, no. It was coming. I think the writing was on the wall. It's something like, I think it's our worst run of form since 2007-8, and you consider Hearts have been relegated twice in that very period. I don't know, but there's definitely things that the fans don't know about, such as the Snodgrass.
I want us to tell you.
Slaney knows what's happened. Tell him, Slaney.
Oh, don't. A day, but
That's not what you were saying in there. Wait till I get there and tell everyone.
Do you want it next holiday?
No, there's only a couple worse than Halliday.
You got a question for the panel now?
Yeah, it was obviously Barry Robson's been appointed Aberdeen manager today. What was Stephen Naismith being given our interim manager? Have you lads ever had an interim manager come in that you've wanted to get the job?
No, I don't think I've played under an interim manager.
I've no, but I've heard that Naismith's the real deal, by the way.
He's a fucking 100%.
Wonder who you
Oh, you
heard
weren't
that
going to
for.
be
His
sharing
derby
this.
record's
That's
superb.
a
Stop selling Andy down the river, man.
Oh, it wasn't Andy that told us.
Oh, what did Andy say?
No, no, but I have heard Nazy's real deal, and that was one of your ex-teammates, Faddy, wasn't
Was
it?
it Snodgrass told you that, Slaney?
No.
No, I've no, but look, I think it's a tough job for Nazy, because you're saying the form wasn't great. They've not got a lot of time. Aberdeen's form's been incredible. You would make them favourites to finish third, as much as that's going to hurt you, but you'd make them favourites. So he's got a tough job, but look, all you can do is manage a team, put a team on the part, like the Ross County performance, and get results and see where it takes them. But do you think that that's enough time to judge him?
What, as in the split?
Aye, so what he's got left, because he's been brought at, Robbie Nielsen was sacked because he wasn't going to get third. So the next guy has to surely be aiming for third.
Yeah.
So is it enough time to judge him for long term?
In the press saying that third isn't all that. Everybody at the club knows that third is all that. I wouldn't expect him to say any different. But I mean, Hearts are historically woeful in the split, so it's a tough enough job, as you say, what with players' confidence, albeit that's been boosted with the win over County. The fact that Celtic could win the league at Tynecastle, brilliant start to the split. Thanks very much for that. But it might end it off with a derby win. So,
if he finished third, would you be happy for him to get the job next year?
Probably not. No. I love Stephen Naismith, one of my all-time favourite Hearts players, but too inexperienced for me. And I just think now, with the situation that the club's in off the park, they can surely look for some more experience, as harsh as that might sound, because again, love Nazy.
Who do you want, or what type of manager do you want? Because the biggest thing was Robbie and his style, and all right, he was getting results, but it was almost right. As soon as results go, we need to get rid of him. For the fans' point of view, I mean.
Look, supposedly Wilder has connected with Hearts somehow.
I watched Watford Sunderland Saturday, and that would get football stopped. I swear to God.
There's talk about Martindale.
There was a competition between the goalkeeper and the defenders to see who could kick the ball the longest.
Is it fair to take?
Right, and Ryan
You've
Porteous
not won a game against us this season, so Davey's doing something right against you.
No.
Is it the style that you're looking for, a manager that plays a certain style of football as well?
I don't know, because again, like the only reason that I had annoyances with Robbie was talking about closing the gap when that just wasn't sustainable. He should have said, look, we'll pull away from the other 9 teams below us first before you even dare consider challenging the top 2.
So they did last year. They done that last year, didn't they?
Yeah, but Hibs were rotten, Aberdeen rotten.
So you'd rather
rotten this year?
They finally got decent, and all of a sudden Hearts have chucked it.
I'm not going to go like the last time, but if your manager comes out and says we just want to extend,
aye, if we want to
Well,
get further away, fourth,
we're not interested in what's
second.
ahead of us.
and you're happy with
All
that?
the fans would turn around and say, look, he's no ambition, he only wants to get better than the rest, he doesn't want to go look up the way.
I'd then give props to the manager for being realistic. No?
Aye, right. That's how fans do, innit? Fans are like, our manager's brilliant, he's dead realistic.
He doesn't know what to do well, he's just realistic.
Just realistic.
Well, there's such a thing as too much ambition, is there not?
No?
How not?
What do you think is too much ambition to try and get closer to Rangers in terms of
Well,
points?
everybody says that it's not viable.
Oh, it's not. They're not going to catch them, but can they get
Why come out
closer?
and say it?
Because you want to have ambition. No,
You've got to believe. You've got to believe as a fan at some point. A club the size of Hearts, equally say the same for.
Have
Hibs
you
and
said that Hearts had gone through some shit times on this last fans forum?
Oh!
I said what? Sorry.
That
Go on,
Hearts had
Adam.
gone through some shit times.
They have gone through some shit times. They're
Right.
going through one right now, right?
20 years of it since I've
But
started following
ultimately,
them.
you still have to have ambition to succeed. I was there 2011, and I think at Christmas time we were like separated by Celtic and
Wheels
Rangers
fell
by.
off and you got injured, though. You're
Of course
just
I
trying to
did.
get that in.
That was always inevitable. But the point is that at that point we were winning like 10, 11 games on the bounce and sitting in between the Old Firm. And like you say, had our stayed fit, we probably would have finished second, but we didn't. Right?
Did you believe you could finish second?
Aye,
Kev?
fucking right, we did, because we were looking at Rangers thinking they're not that great. At that time, I thought Celtic were better. They hammered us home and away in the time that I played before Christmas. But with Rangers, we felt that we were equally as good as Rangers.
How dare you have ambition? You should have been realistic.
No, we were.
You're
I
used
know.
to finishing below
I know.
them.
We should have
We
fucking.
kept it in house, though. I
and
don't mind it keeping
To be
it
fair,
in-house.
but my point is that say Hearts had got a better start to this season, like because they didn't have the best of starts in
Sure.
terms of the injuries they had on the table and things like that. Sure, they had a better start, and sure they got some good form. Why couldn't they not have been closer to Rangers?
Rangers had mathematically finished above us after what?
I know, but what I'm
29
saying
games?
is a better start. And the Celtics obviously beat Rangers a few times. Aberdeen's jumped in and helped as well. Had Hearts been a bit more consistent, they could easily have been closer to Rangers.
Can I ask you
But
something?
this
then?
season?
Definitely.
Is that not a mentality thing then? Does that not stem from the people?
Well, how's the mentality thing within the players will believe that they can do it, right? But you, as a fan that was here the last time that wanted Robbie, got your wish. If your mentality is to be further away from fourth than closer to second, that can only ring negativity out. Like I played at Tynecastle. No, it's not your fault. You're a fan, but as a collective, as fans, I've obviously took a wee bit of stick from the Hearts fans. It's the first time I've gave you a bit of grief, right? It hurts me to do it, right? But my point is that I've sat in that stadium when maybe there haven't been a on-point performance, and the fucking negativity that rings round, it's tough. And you're sitting there about Robbie. Surely he must have earned enough that when he goes a 5-game unbeaten run, he's surely earned the right to have a wee bit longer time than 5 defeats.
In fairness to Robbie, I mean, they were talking about the fact that our away record's terrible. That's been historic for ages, years. Tynecastle should be a fortress, I grant you, and for the most part it is. But if we want to get closer to the top 2, our away form has to improve.
But I thought you didn't want to get closer to the top 2. I know. No, my point I was going to ask you is, right, so say this season, Robbie's still the manager, you finish in the same points as last season, you are 20 points further ahead than the team below you, but you're 10 points further away for the team above. What's the feeling then?
Well, then we're sort of making our own wee island, didn't we? So then
You're happy with
then
that?
you have
Rain wee
then
island,
go on.
you, the
Yeah.
island, the sea, the sand, and nothing else.
So,
Aye, basically, aye.
You're happy with that? Fucking hell.
no, so what you were
Fans
saying
have
was you
gone.
want to be like...
It needs some backing. You can't just like we finished as a newly promoted side. We can't then 1 season later challenge the top
Aye.
2. That's never going to happen.
no,
Can I just
what I'm
ask
saying
you a
is you want to
question?
establish yourself as a
Oh, yes.
third place.
How do we make a wee Highland with Hearts fans on the rain away from everybody else happen?
So who's going to get the Hearts job then?
That's what I was going to ask. Should
I'm
you go down a
fucking applying
different
for
route?
it.
Should you think outside the box, another country, or will it be a...
Anybody bar somebody in Scottish football. I don't want a Robinson. Don't want a Martindale. No.
Was it just with a style you've seen?
Just something a bit different. I think now's the time to go bold. Why not? Try something new. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work.
But like Cathro.
At least you've tried.
Go
It's
Cathro.
a big risk though, because I know that I had it the last time, but if it doesn't work, the last 2 times it didn't work, you get relegated.
Well,
and
Robbie's assembled one of the most expensive squads in Hearts history. There's money there.
Their side's
for
ever
relegation.
too good to no go down. They can always go down.
No, I'm well aware of that.
Especially if you get the wrong guy in as a manager. I'm not having a go at you. I'm just saying you've been bold before. You've been brave with Cathro and Stendo and guys like that, and it didn't work. So why would you?
Why would you? Changes under Cathro though, wasn't it? I mean,
But if a new manager comes in that's a bit bold, they might want to make the same amount of changes.
We don't know. I've not got a crystal ball. Have you?
But you would but you would rather go with somebody totally out the box.
I can feel your heart beating through your chest right now.
I'm shit
I can hear it, mate.
No, because it's always a thing for me. See when people go, manager's rubbish, no good enough, get rid of him. Right, okay. Why? I don't like his style. He said that we should be aiming for second, and we don't like that. Who do you want in then? Just know somebody in Scotland, somebody a wee bit different. Thanks.
Right, we're on to Slaney's twin, Gogsy. The 2 brothers, come on, the brothers.
I mean,
Hey, Gogsy, don't take that.
Bogsy, talk about good managers. Kettlewell, what a job he's done, mate. How buzzing are you?
Can I just say, the last time we were here, everyone was slating him. Even myself. And look at the difference.
Kettlewell, we were.
Aye. Have you not even watched it back yet?
I can't watch myself back in the performance I put in, mate.
I think you're only on for about 30 seconds.
Are you buzzing, mate?
Honestly, I couldn't be happier. I mean, top 6 was always going to be unrealistic with how late we appointed Kettlewell. But, I mean, in the 9 games in the league since we were last here, Motherwell have picked up 17 points from 27, which I think is fantastic considering, everyone was saying that we were going to get relegated. So that's a middle finger to everyone, including me.
You must have feared that yourself, though.
What has he changed, Gogsy?
Well, I think he's got rid of the poison. I mean, the mentality is completely
Name
switched.
names.
Well, I said last time here, like, the poison was a mentality. I mean, we didn't look like we knew what we were doing under Hamlet sometimes. And, I mean, now, like, under Kettlewell, there's confidence, there's belief in the squad. And you can see that oozing through Fir Park, and I love it.
How good's Big Van Veen?
Oh, can't get enough of him. 9 goals in 6 games. That's unheard of since Higdon.
Well, would you want
Rangers.
Van Veen?
I think it's a conversation that could be had. However, if we're trying to wrestle the title back by, no. So no, no.
He scored more than your strikers.
He has, but you need to remember the quality at Rangers. That's fine that he's scoring goals at the moment. However, we're trying to win a league. We're not trying to stay in the league.
Aye, so he's
26
a struggling team.
But Kevin Van Veen
I think
scored
he just
against
scored
Celtic.
that one at the back post yesterday. Just saying.
And he did score against Celtic, so...
Gogs, have you got a question for the panel,
my
son?
question is, if you were a manager, and how would you determine, how would you go and try and turn around a squad that looks destined for relegation, like Kettlewell has done, and just all of a sudden it reinstored belief into a squad? How would you do that?
I'll have a wee quick one because Mike and Dorrit 2014s were struggling there a wee bit. So I managed to get 7 bottles of Prime out of Tesco. And the turnaround's been incredible. But for me, if it were me, and hopefully one day maybe I'll get that opportunity, I just think sometimes you need to strip things back to basics. Sometimes when you're in a relegation fight, and I've been in quite a few with some of the teams I played with, managers come in and they try to do these master plans of tactics and try different things, and it's just, for me, it doesn't work. Sometimes you just get really back to the basics of football, get your players doing the basics well again, and build on that. Sometimes you just need to be harder to beat. So it might not be pretty, but if you get that point, a point that's better than none, it'll breathe confidence. You can build from there. I think if looking at Motherwell, yeah, it's great Van Veen scored, but I think defensively he's improved massively, which has been a reason why he's picked up more points. And I think obviously when you walk into a struggling team, I think if you can get, and it just depends obviously the type of manager that's coming in. Kettlewell might have a completely different attitude than what Hamill had. Get players on your side, find out if there's any poison, as you say, in the dressing room, try and weed that out, ask questions, and basically just try and build and hope that you get a reaction. And Motherwell clearly got a reaction, like, where is it? I can't even see the strips, my eyes are fucked. Dundee United, under Jim Goodwin, they've managed to get a reaction. Where is Dundee United fan?
Right in front of you.
I'm not going to strip on, but yeah.
Fucking hell.
He's not got his strip on, that's why.
Oh, that's why. I couldn't even see the orange bit in there. But anyway, that's what I would do, Gogsy.
Aye, because like even in the post-match interviews, like under Hammy, it was the same every week.
Aye.
Because it was the same problems. But Kettlewell, as like the way he speaks, like I actually feel confident just even listening to him speak. And I mean, having a good talker is always going to manifest some good results, in my opinion. But of course, it's always the actions that do prevail in terms of having a good manager.
Well, you said on a podcast once that he wouldn't inspire you to get off a couch.
Can you believe I said that? Because we met him and he was fucking fantastic, wasn't he?
Aye, he was good.
He was
You want to
brilliant.
swap places, Slaney?
Do you want to sit up here?
I loved him.
Naked, but
It's been an inconsistent season for Hibs, but Lee Johnson's guide you top half finish. Does he still have work to do to convince the fans?
Aye, massive. It's been a mental season. Like we've had obviously the 6-0 with Aberdeen. Sorry to bring that up. We've been away to Livingston, got a big win, won the last derby, which we never win. We won one, and then you go and lose to Motherwell.
Only took you 3 years.
Ass.
oh,
Aye,
it took you 3 years.
But
Hey, season's not finished yet. You watch yourself.
I still don't want to go. He's on the reach yet. So we lost to Motherwell, lost to Dundee United. We needed to win against St Johnstone really to guarantee top 6 to make sure it was in our hands. Fucked that up. But we sort of stumbled our way into the top 6, so he's sort of hit his first target, but it's still quite a way off where we need to be.
Why do you think they've struggled for consistency so much this year?
Obviously, they've had injuries to key players at points of the season. Obviously, I think Martin Boyle got injured there. You obviously had Miss Nisbet for long parts of the season. He's come back in, looks good. I think they'll struggle to keep a hold of Kevin Nisbet, whether he goes south or whether maybe one of the other Premier League teams. Bobby, I think your team could do with him. I think it's probably keeping the same 11 players consistently on the park each week. When you're talking about earlier with Celtic having the same back five consistently, that helps. Whereas I don't think Hibs, the team seems to change every week. Eulin, that one week he's up front, one week he's out in the wing, trying to accommodate people, fit people in, and that's probably one of the reasons why. Obviously, you've got your result against Hearts. Must be confident going to Tynecastle in the split.
I always confident going there.
Don't know how.
You think you've got a better squad than Hearts?
See, if I'm honest with you, I don't know enough about Hearts to say one way or the other. I didn't really. I kind of sounds like a dick thing to say. I didn't really pay attention. I'm like, I pay attention to Hibs. I didn't really know enough about Hearts. Other
But
than,
you know that you must know the squad of players.
No, really. Like I came when they come up against Hibs. I reckon.
Interrogate him, Slaney.
I can who the Hibs players are and whether they're matching up against them, but I couldn't go man for man who the Hearts team are to say it, and that's maybe a bit ignorance on my part, but I've just been honest. Like I didn't pay attention.
Cheers for that.
You can't be confident going into summer in terms of recruitment either, because it's been so hit and miss as well, hasn't it?
Aye, so we need to get the director of football that they've been talking about. So I mean, they're talking about whether that's like Mixu or Raymond Spark.
I suppose you as a Hibs fan will know be first who the director of football is, as long as they bring in good recruitment.
Aye, and it's massive because the recruitment last summer was a disaster, really. So they've got a big job, and I think they need to look at like the medical side of things, because we've had loads of like muscular injuries this season. Where, like, I reckon how close we would have been to third if we'd kept Nisbet, McGeady, and Boyle fit all season. Like if we'd had those three as up front, I think we would be third clear. Given that we're only like I don't know nine away from Aberdeen now, and we've been awful. Like the games that we've lost, if we did a finisher or a bit more potency in attack, we would have won it.
I agree with you there, but every club's had their injuries. Even you look at Hearts with Boyce, Beningame, Halkett, Craig Gordon's been out for a while. You take them out of any team, they're going to struggle. It's just that's part and parcel of football. But Martin Boyle is the biggest miss for me because he can win a game no matter what shape it is. He can find space to go and win games. He's been the biggest loss for me.
Boyle slips other teams attacking as well because they can't have fullbacks at bomb on if you've got Boyle playing because he's that quick. He just keeps them occupied. So the teams that rely on fullbacks coming at you, you just totally nullify them if you've got Martin Boyle.
He terrifies the opposition. Doesn't matter who they're playing, terrifies them.
It's the same with McGeady on the other side. Regardless of McGeady's age, when he was playing for Hibs, he was one of their top performers. If you've got McGeady on the left, Boyle on the right, and Nisbet fit through the middle, that's scoring goals every week and every other week.
It's as good as front three.
Yeah, it is. Outside the open, that's probably better than Rangers right enough now. But sorry, Bobby, I'm just.
He's called him Barry as well.
I never called him Barry. Fucking called him Bobby.
We've got a newcomer, Robbie. Stand up, mate. Give us a wee twirl. Aberdeen.
Come on, Robbie boy.
Looking great, mate. You're looking great.
That's a Jim Bet strip, that, innit? Jim Bet, that, innit?
House.
That's a belter.
Like the strip?
It's class, mate. That's retro.
Yes.
Robbie boy, can you believe the turnaround since that Darvel match?
Oh, absolutely not. I was at that Darvel match.
Were you there, mate? Aye.
Yeah, at Recreation Park on that dreaded night, and the abuse I gave that players to now the praise I'm giving them, I couldn't believe it in 12-week period. It shows how fickle we are as football fans, but that was something I wanted to ask the whole panel. Have you ever seen a turnaround like it from players? I know it's probably used so much downing tools, but from players playing so poorly to winning 8 out of 10 games under interim manager, it's unbelievable, really.
It is mental that though, isn't it? Because fans have got a right, even when they turn around and start winning in games and that, they've still got a right to be annoyed with the performances we're putting in, especially when they're getting knocked out with Darvel.
Especially the Aberdeen performances, because the Darvel was a bad performance. The one at Easter Road was way worse for me, way worse.
But players, Faddy, they would never go at players and go, I'm not going to.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't. And it can be a number of things that, you know, I don't know what happened. It can be complete lack of confidence. It can be Kev was asked or answered the question earlier. If you're going through a bad spell, what would you do as a manager? And it's simplifying it. And sometimes players overthink it, managers overthink it, and there's that much going on in your head that you can't function. And it's so it shouldn't happen. And people look at it and say, for God's sake, you're a professional football player, you need to deal with pressure. Sometimes you can't do the simple thing of controlling the ball. Like seeing a pass, you see the guy 5 yards away from you can't play that pass. You can't lift your legs. It's a weird thing.
I've experienced that weird thing.
A culmination.
Loads of times. I get sent out to fucking Rochdale, 19 years old, and I couldn't fucking, honestly, I was somebody would say this anyway, but I was a proper imposter off it. I played at Rochdale. Horrific. But 6 months later, I was playing the Premiership. So that's what happens. It's like Faddy says, you can't fucking think right. You're like, just bring the ball down, get it on the deck, and lay it to your teammate. And it comes, you're like, holy fuck, you think it's a fucking meteorite coming at you. Oh shit, here's this fucking ball. I'm trying to control it on a trampoline. And you can't. It's just fucking, it's a confidence thing.
That's it as well. When you're confident, when you're ready and prepared, you just do it. So you know what to be, you've worked on it, you know defensively, you know your position, you know when the ball comes in, you need to step across, you know that if he steps across, my teammate has to come with me, we clear it, and if the ball's coming up to a striker, coming a bit high, you just control it, you just either chest it down or you hold the guy off. See when you're like low, you go, oh for fuck's sake, that ball's coming to me, if I chest it and I lose it, shit, don't lose it, I'm going to just try and protect it, and before you know it, the ball's come up, you've fucking lost it, or the defender's going, right, he's going to, if he crosses it, where's my man? And you're talking to yourself and almost just confusing yourself. And when things are going well, as I'd imagine they are now for the players, they just do it because they've worked on it. There's no thought process, there's no overthinking. You just go on with it because they're professionals and they're good players. But when you're in that position where you're in your own head, it is not a good place to be. in general as a person, I'm sure you've all experienced it, as a football player, it is not the best place to be when you're talking to yourself in your head whilst you're trying to play a game of football.
I'm doing that right now. That's happening to me right now. No, I'm kidding.
Robbie, are you happy that Barry Robson got the job?
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted. But to be honest, when he was first put in interim charge, I was probably of the opinion of Chris Wilder, who Kev's clearly saying that his football's dire. So I'm maybe glad we dodged the bullet there with Chris Wilder. But I think the Football Monitoring Board maybe got lucky with Robson, because obviously he was ready at the club as an under-18s coach, and he learned his trade under Denton McInnes. And I was probably near the end of McInnes' era advocating for him to go because he'd ran his course. And with Robson, can see similarities in his football to McInnes, but what we've got to realise is at Aberdeen, we got a bit ahead of ourselves, finishing third, getting Europe, getting to cup semis and finals, that we maybe expected too much. And sometimes you have to have that reality. Obviously, Adam, speaking as a Hearts fan, similar with what Robbie Nielsen said.
That's because he's finished third behind the mighty well, that one.
Maybe it's that, Farry.
What an achievement that was for you that year. Honestly,
no,
incredible.
well,
Robbie, Duke and Miofsky must be two of the best signings Aberdeen have made in recent years now.
They are, and that's why I know Jim Goodwin was axed, and rightfully so, but him and Dan Moby to find these players in the first place, like from Benfica and MTK Budapest, and Yoba Ramadani, I voted for him in the club's Player of the Year. He goes under the radar as a really, really good midfielder and does his work very, sometimes underappreciated. And I think Duke, obviously, he's been linked with Burnley. Faddy was an attacker. I run an Aberdeen fan page as well, and I wonder, like, folks quote 5 million, 10 million. A guy like Duke come to the Scottish Premiership. How much, if Aberdeen were to lose him in the summer, would they be getting for him?
I'd take Duke. Just to let you know.
We would take him at these teams as well.
I think it's a tough one, because you're only worth as much as somebody's willing to pay.
Aye.
And if Aberdeen were to get an offer of what, 1.5, 2 million,
no.
would they take it?
They probably would, but I don't think so. Right.
Do you think so?
Well, when McFilry's being linked with 2 million move to Bristol, City, and I think that's too low, and Duke's a player similar to Jota, guys that light up the league. And if you think Hibs fans signed Tavares, I think, from Benfica B, look at the contrast of what he's done and what Duke's done. But I think a lot of people forget Duke, his first start, it wasn't until about September, October time. He was eased into Aberdeen, and now he's in 18 goals and how many assists. So I think
the problem you've got, Robbie, with the English market is they don't treat our Scottish market very fairly.
No, they don't.
They always underpay for our good players. And I think, like Faddy says, he says like 1.52 million.
I'm not valuing him at that.
No, but see if a Burnley come in and say 1.52 million quid, the chairman of Aberdeen might just think, you know what, that's more than, we'll just take that. They might haggle for a wee bit more. If you look at the Lewis Ferguson situation, obviously that was a bit of a, and they ended up losing out in that one, so asking for too much. So he might look at that experience and maybe deal with Duke. The idea of Duke going for 5-10 million would be a fairy tale in Scottish football, a great bit of business for Aberdeen. But is a team going to look at Scottish football and think, oh, he's come from Benfica B, 18 goals, we're going to give 5 million quid? It just isn't going to happen, sadly. But whereas
5 million for
no, whereas obviously Bobby said there they would take him at Rangers. I think he would do a right good job at Rangers. But Rangers would probably have to pay more for him than what Burnley would because of the same league. So it's a tough one, but you've got to give Jim Goodwin credit for unearthing, because I know Barry Robinson's come in and he's turned things around, but the players that Aberdeen had in their squad initially were good. Something just needed to change, and obviously Barry Robinson, I felt when he got the interim role, because he made such a quick appointment with Steve Agnew from Middlesbrough, that told me that he'd already done his bit of due diligence and his research, and I think those two combined has made the difference for Aberdeen, and I'm buzzing the day that he's got the job. I just hope that he can continue on. Maybe no finish third. I'd like Hearts to finish.
I think Aberdeen will finish third, just to.
I think definitely, aye. I think so.
Aye.
I think the fact
which
that
is incredible,
Aye.
considering where they were.
Yep.
Because you'd have been fearing relegation, am I right? Is that over dramatic?
Yeah, Fardy, at one point after Darvel and obviously losing 11-0 in aggregate in Edinburgh, I was feeling the worst, thinking, it's the first time in my lifetime I'm going to see Aberdeen in the second tier. We're on the, calling them all sorts, and that's what I say. The Uptown is unthinkable in what they've done, and got to thank Barry Robson. Probably final question, probably to all of you who played the game, the fact that Robson comes in, first thing he does, Anthony Stewart, brought in as captain by Jim Goodwin, he loans him out to MK Dons, and I don't see him seeing out his 2-year contract now, and I think, I'm not victimising a player, but the difference having Matty Pollock and Angus MacDonald alongside Liam Scales instead of Stewart is night and day, and it just shows how one little tweak can go a long way, and I think that's 7 clean sheets in a row. The only goal they've conceded in 8 was against Dundee United from a penalty, which is remarkable, really.
See, when the minute you start getting loaned out to MK Dons, it's game over then, and that's
see on that as well. That was a move that had to happen.
Yeah, it was
he had to get Anthony Stewart out the team to get him out on loan and get somebody to take him. Brilliant, because everybody could see it, and see as a fan you're watching it, as a neutral you're watching it, but the players on the pitch know it as well. See, when you've got a player and you know either he's no the player you thought he was going to be, he's not bringing that performance level, you know it as a player, as a teammate of somebody, and if you've tried to coax something out of him or have a go at him to say, come on, we need more for you, and they've not been able to get it. He was a big part in the games, the way that he played the game, and it's brilliant. You know, you've got a guy coming in as interim manager, bringing in Steve Agnew, as Kev says, a highly respected coach, and then turning into the captain and saying, you can't play for me, I need to get you out the club, I need to get you out on loan. Brilliant.
So we're here, Ewan, for Talk Livy.
Yes.
Ewan, missed top 6 again. How gutted are you, my friend?
Gutted. I mean, the last time I came on here, I was raving about Europe, and our season's gone to absolute pot since I was on. So, obviously gutted because it's second season in a row. Last game before we split, we've missed out. But our downturn in form, and not even just the results, but it's the performances since kind of February. It's 3 wins in 11, not scored in 6 of our last 11, conceded, averaging 2 goals a game, conceding. You know, the performances away at St Mirren and away at Motherwell, away at Tannadice were awful, and I think since we've been up, this is our worst run of performances that we've had.
Why
Is it because, sorry mate,
sorry.
on you go.
what's changed.
Marvin Bartley.
Is it because the size of the squad? So Davey's always banging on about the size of his squad. If you look at how the end seasons, then it would go hand in hand with what he's saying in terms of he's not got the numbers or the quality to go and finish in the top 6.
Yeah, I think we had a team that was capable of pushing into the top 6, and I get the kind of party line with us is 10th and above is a successful season, and I kind of echo that as well, but I think we had enough in the building to push on top 6, and we were in a very good spot kind of sitting beginning of February, and even despite our running results we were still in the mix going into the last game. But it's, as I say, it's the performances have it's such a downturn in the start.
And what is it, the intensity within the performances? Because it's
I would say that kind of a lot of the games have been very unlivy-like. Like Matty was talking about the game against Hibs, for example. We looked a real soft touch. The game at Fir Park, again, got bullied by Van Veen. At St Mirren, we got bullied. You know, it's very unlivy-like over the last couple of seasons, and we had a couple of decent performances before the international break against Dundee United and Ross County, but we didn't kick on from those decent performances, and we've missed out on top 6 because we deserved it, because the performances haven't been good enough the last few months.
And it looks like Nicky Devlin, he'll be away in the summer, won't he? I think Martindale came out and said that, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, that was kind of
one of your best mates.
He's outstanding, isn't he?
Well, we sponsor Nicky on our podcast, so we're obviously big fans of him, but that was kind of my question to you guys, is Davey's obviously been very public in saying that players are moving on, and when you're still in a position where you're pushing for top 6 European football, how does that filter in a dressing room when he's coming out and saying guys are not going to be here next year?
I think in a dressing room like Livy, I think they would understand that. I think if I was in the Livy dressing room and I knew that some of the players are moving on, I think I'd respect that, and I think I would trust them to see the season out. But I think because Livy will have a conveyor belt every season, players in, players out constantly. Most Premier League SPL clubs do, but the thing with Livy, I've noticed, we used to talk about in the podcast where they only ever lost. They were so hard to beat. They only ever lost by a goal here. But recently, it's been like 2-0, 3-1s.
Well, if you compare us this season to last season, I think last season 4 times we conceded 3 or more goals. It's 8 this season.
So there you go. That's what I noticed.
Vast majority of the games last year were to the Old Firm, which you kind of half expect. But we've had a 5-0 at Pittodrie, a 4-0 at Easter Road, 3-0 at Fir Park, 3-0 at St Mirren as well. So yeah, we've taken a few hidings this year, and as I say, we've at times looked a little bit of a soft touch, which again is very unlike us.
Again, as much as the European football, top 6 pushing for European football is a dream for Livy. Again, it's just probably grateful that he's stayed in the league.
By the way,
unfair?
As I say, every season that we're in the top flight is success in my eyes. There's some of our fans after the game at Tannadice were calling for Martindale's head, which I think's utterly insane. Right, utterly insane, because he's punching above his weight every single season. How could you sack a manager that's outperforming expectation every year? And I still think Davey's the right man for our club. He's a perfect fit. But as I say, the downturn in results, and it's not even the results. I expect to lose games as a Livingston fan, but it's the performances just haven't been there. Some games it's been pretty turgid to watch, to be honest.
I think with Livy, going back to your question about him saying that there's going to be a clear out, Livingston under Davy Martindale, Davy Hopkin, I know Kenny Miller was in, Davy Hopkin was everybody in it together, working hard working, horrible team. Didn't get the credit they deserve for the actual football they played, because first and foremost, fight and scrap, get the ball forward, make teams defend, put them under pressure. If the ball comes in our box, we defend. That's not been there for the last few weeks, as you said. And when you're at a club at Livy, if you're not all in and you're 1 or 2 that are short, you're fucked, because that's how you play the game. Maybe the players have had their eye on leaving in the summer anyway. Maybe Davies sensed that a wee bit and thought, I'll give them a chance. Behind closed doors, he said, look, we need to get back to what we're good at. And he's maybe said that privately, and now he's come out and says there's going to be a clear out, we're going to start again, because either the players don't respond to the message, or the players are thinking about what they're going to be doing in the summer anyway. There'll be some that will move on to bigger and better things. There'll be some that don't and think they might be, but they won't, because they've got a good manager there. And the biggest thing he's got for me is his man management. You can tell with his style, he gets the best out of every single player in that team, and he's not getting it at the minute. So maybe that's a drop off for the players and his message, and he's thought, I need to get new players in to go and start a game.
I think Davey and the players put a bit of pressure on themselves, because it was getting talked up about top 6 European football, when every season we kind of stick to the party line, the 10th place and above. And I feel after the game at Fir Park in particular, I think Davey tried to take a bit of pressure off the players, and he came out with a line saying, I don't care about 6th place.
I think you made a good point there, in that everybody was talking about Livingston being a stick on for top 6, getting European football, bringing it to Livingston. Sometimes a player, and maybe what's happened is the players then start thinking, no, that players shouldn't think they're good, but they're maybe thinking about that themselves and what they're actually good at and what got them there. They've maybe stopped in the wee extra yard that they have to do, the wee horrible part of the game that you have to do, and maybe they've thought, we are a good team, and we can maybe just turn up and not be at full pelt. Livingston can't be like that. Most of the teams in the league can't be like that. That's why Aberdeen go through their struggle, because they're not at that. The first and foremost is your hard work, your organisation, then the basics of the game, defending when it's on to defend. No team in the league can get away with not doing that. So I think that maybe that's maybe an issue that's affected the squad, and that people are saying, no longer saying, Livingston, the underdogs, a punch above their weight. Now you're looking at Livingston saying, aye, could you see Livingston as a top 6 side? Aye, because consistently they're there or thereabouts every year, and everybody was probably saying, this will be the year, and maybe the players believed it.
Yeah, I kind of agree, and as I say, I think the manager tried to take a bit of pressure off by kind of saying, 6th place, it doesn't matter, and it did get an initial response when it beat St Johnstone, but then we followed it up with that shit show, to be honest, our performance at Tannadice. And look, between now and the end of the season, I think the manager's come out and said that guys who aren't going to be here next year aren't going to be featuring as much. He's going to see what he's got in the building going into next season, and I think next year's going to be tough once again, recruitment wise, given our budget and our resources. But I think this could be his most difficult one. He's, as you mentioned, he's losing Nicky Devlin, he's going to be losing Jack
Is Newbley away?
Newbley's signed a new deal, but there's every chance that that Noobs will end up going if we get a decent offer. I think if we got anything upwards of £500,000, we'd be looking at that.
Nubley,
Would you take him?
he's
I would.
players.
He bullied our defence. And for a striker that plays up top on his own, he can run, he can hold it. He's technically, we talk about power and pace, but he can play.
Do you think he's better than Van Veen, Bobby? Because you said no to Van Veen. Yeah.
Van Veen's more clinical, I would say, than Nubley. But Nubley's been so integral to us this season in terms of how we play, but I almost think we've been a little bit too reliant on him at times as well.
All right, what one? St Mirren, your favourite team this season?
I've been outstanding. Sam Smith.
What?
We're joined by
Sam
I've had so much.
I've had so much shite for that.
Please name her.
Sai, an incredible season. Top 6. What does that mean to you and all the St Mirren fans?
It means a lot more to some of the way our fans were acting as if it was like we won the Champions League. But I mean, to be fair, it is a big achievement. I think for most of, I'm only 24, for most of my life, St Mirren have been shite. Like, everybody laughs though, but St Mirren have been like bottom feeders in the top flight, or they've been in the Championship for. I think we've been in the Championship more than we've been in the top flight for most of my life. So it felt good to finally be considered one of the better teams in the league. And I think over obviously the last game when we lost to Kilmarnock, we were dreadful, but I think over the 32 games we were excellent. And I think I think most of you wanted Stephen Robinson sacked.
I did. I put my hand up.
But see, after the League Cup campaign and after the end of last season, what did you think was going to happen this season?
100%. I was.
Because you had a go at a lot of the people that said, everybody thought we were going to go down. What did you?
I didn't want him sacked.
No, I didn't want him sacked.
Oh, no.
Did you think you were going to struggle this year?
No, honestly,
No?
I didn't think we were, because I think he was forcing himself to be something that we weren't. I think in the League Cup games he tried to play 4-3-3, which I think if everyone, like obviously Goggsy's seen it at Motherwell, like Robinson loves playing 4-3-3.
He certainly does.
He never had the personnel, and even the personnel that he signed, like Declan Gallagher's a great centre half, but he's not really good in a 2. He's better in the middle of a 3. That's where his best performances have been. And the way he recruited wasn't really to play a 4-3-3, especially with like a Junga. A Junga's great in a pair, but we were trying to play him out left at the start of the season. We were kind of putting square pegs in round holes, but since we shifted at the start of the season, even the first game of the season, we get beat 1-0 for Motherwell, we were great, and since then we just really
everybody
kicked on.
keeps saying they get beat off of Motherwell as if Motherwell are shite. What's going on?
I mean, apart from Liam Kelly pulling off 2 of the best saves I've ever seen in my life that day.
I'm going to sound like Roy Keane, but it's his job, innit? Imagine a goalie making a save, Jesus Christ.
So what's been the turnaround for St Mirren? Is it recruitment?
Recruitment, definitely.
Who's been the standouts?
O'Hara, Trevor Carson's
Trevor
Carson's incredible. Honestly, one of the best keeper, probably the best keeper I've seen play.
We've had a good team. I speak about everything that's good about Livingston. I think St Mirren have that. Where it's a well organised team. Everybody's at it, and if you play well, you will cause any team problems, as has been shown this season, particularly at home.
I think talking about recruitment as well, one of the guys that flies like well under the radar, Ryan Strain, is
brilliant.
Yeah, really
comfortably one of the best fullbacks in the league, like by a country mile. Like his assist and goal rate.
Bobby, the right back.
You know, Stephen Robinson's the fad, and he had Motherwell third in the league. Am I right? Will he think within himself that he can get St Mirren there?
Aye,
he will.
Without doubt. I think that he's massively confident in how he works, and if he gets the buy-in for the players, which he's done, then they'll get results, because they have good players, technically good players. It's similar to what I just said about Livingston. But first of all, they're a horrible team to play against.
We don't actually get credit for the way we play football. To be fair, we're a pretty good football side. I know we only have like 25-35% of the ball most weeks, but what we do with the minimal possession we get, we're clinical. Like St Mirren know how to put teams away, and I mean that's why we've got where we are. But I still don't feel that we get enough credit. I don't really care what folk.
See, on St Mirren last year, am I right in saying that they posted like a loss in terms of
1.7 million?
So in terms of finishing top 6, this must be a massive boost, obviously behind the scenes, because it would be a worry that if they finished in the bottom half. Obviously,
the talk with the chairman was we budgeted to finish 7th place. I know like every team can budget to finish whatever place, you can budget for whatever prize money, but like we made a pretty bold claim. Like John Needham came out and said like we are budgeting to finish 7th. That is our aim. That's the bare minimum. And to To be fair, we've done it, but we did put a lot of pressure on Stephen Robinson, and I mean, a lot of fans, I think, after the first couple of weeks of the season would have had him gone. I mean, fans would have had him gone in April last year, because he came in and he said a lot of stuff that people didn't like. I think after we get beat 4-2 off of Motherwell, we came out in the press and he said that, like, there's players here that have chucked it, there's players here that know they've got to move, which is bizarre because most of the team's still here. And I think the only two guys that left, like Matt Miller and Alan Pibber, who Matt Miller went away to play for a team in New Zealand. Alan Pibber's obviously away to Kilmarnock. So a lot of these guys that he criticised in the press are still here. And I remember, I think it was even on the podcast as well, he had said it's a mental tactic to come out in the press and slate players, but I think the way...
Doesn't just do that in the press?
Oh, I've been told
he's quite hard, but listen, he gets
the way it works.
It is, and the pressure, that wee underdog, want to fight everybody and say, I'll show you.
He loves telling everybody that he's second best.
It is him at his best, and going into the last game before the decider for the top six, and I know a lot of people still says, oh, St Mirren were terrible, and you've come on and said it. It's no right to say that it was a poor performance, but you're no judged on that game because ultimately you finished top six, and for the whole of the season, apart from that game, you think St Mirren have been good. They've been punching above their weight, and you finish where you deserve to finish. It doesn't matter what anybody says. Oh, we should have beat them. Like you're saying, I know Liam Kelly makes the 2 saves. That's football. That's what happens. But at the end of the season, when you finish in that position, Graham Alexander had it last year, and he got slaughtered for it, and ultimately loses his job. You finish in a European spot. Well done. You can't surely any club like Motherwell, St Mirren get into a European spot. You can't go, I know, but see if we'd have played a wee bit better and had a wee bit more finesse about how we played. Fucking take it. St Mirren they have had the plaudits. I know that you feel they haven't, but they have, because everybody recognises you go to St Mirren. Going to St Mirren's one of the hardest places to go this season, and that's a credit to the manager and the players.
So see now, top six, Europe, think you can do it?
I would love to, but a lot depends on the first 2 games in the split. We play Hibs away on Saturday, and then we've got Hearts at home. I don't really expect to take much. I mean, I don't expect to take anything off the last 3. You've got, Celtic away, Aberdeen away and Rangers at home. I mean, by that point, Aberdeen and Rangers might not be playing for anything. I know Celtic aren't going to be playing for anything, really, because they're going to have the league wrapped up at the weekend, but I don't know.
So that's favourable then?
It is.
Got to be looking at that as a positive.
The way Stephen Robinson sets his team up, he'll be.
You commented that, Si, about St Mirren that night they played Celtic at Celtic Park. They didn't sit in, they went at Celtic. Yeah. Obviously got picked off, but no, St Mirren's been... like I said, I was quite critical of Stephen Robinson early on I thought he should have got the sack, but
Kevin,
the fuck do I know?
Do you think teams will be looking at Stephen Robinson?
Well, Stephen Robinson obviously did well with Motherwell, that got his move to England. Didn't he quite work out in England? And then he's come back up and took the opportunity with St Mirren, got off to a slow start, but ultimately has shown that he's got good managerial qualities, because a bit similar to how Derek McInnes probably did when he was managing up here with St Johnstone, went down south, didn't quite work out, Bristol City, and then came back and done really well with Aberdeen. So it shows he has something, and the fact that he's playing the formations and the personnel that he's brought in shows that he has got the capabilities of being a good manager. I know Hearts fans probably wouldn't be grateful for him, but there'll be somebody there somewhere, maybe the English Championship again, that might say, you know what, this guy's got a wee bit of credibility here.
He said before he done it, I can't remember who it was he done the interview. I think it might have been Motherwell. He done an interview with Motherwell's podcast, and he said that when he finished third with Motherwell, he expected a lot more. In England, they expected that he maybe would have got more attention. I think it might have been Bournemouth that he applied for twice, and he chucked his application. They said they never get back to him. And I think there is, I mean, you said it earlier, there is a wee bit of a snobbery when you were talking about Duke. Like, teams in England don't really care about what teams up here do. Like, I
think the issue on that one is he's been at Oldham and Morecambe. Aye. So he has managed in there. I would more go into why he's successful. People look at it and say, fucking hell, he always signs players that he's managed before. But if you're signing a player based on ability, you can't see their character. You mentioned coming out and having a go at the players. He knows these players. He knows what makes them tick. He knows how to get the best out of them. So as well as signing good players, he's signing the characters that he knows he can manage and knows that they can respond to how he manages. It's not for everybody. That's the same with every manager. How they manage isn't for everybody. Get players in, you get a response to it, and you'll be successful, and that's what he's done. But look, if he goes and takes St Mirren into Europe, I think you said you celebrated like a Champions League. I remember last year Motherwell playing at Livingston, they go and get the draw. The celebrations that day were incredible, because as a player you start the season and no matter what your manager says or the chairman says or the people that are running the club with the money, we budget for 10th. You budget for 10th, so that see if you finish 10th, you've budgeted for that. You aim to get in the top 6, and once you're in the top 6, especially now, 5th place can be European football. That means mega money for the clubs.
Right, we're on to the battle at the bottom. Everyone agrees between the 4 teams: United, St Johnstone, Kelly and Ross County, yeah?
Aye.
And who, if we need to put you on the spot now, who will finish bottom?
Sorry, pal, but I think you're going down.
Ross County, you think?
Ross County, aye.
Based on what, Kev, the recent performances?
Just recently, aye. I think this time last year they went on a mad, crazy run that prompted them right up the season, but up the table, sorry. But this time around, that 6-1 drubbing to Hearts, was it 6-1?
Aye.
What does that do for the morale, confidence? Whereas Kilmarnock, who can't win a game away from home, go and beat St Mirren, who's high flying, top 6. Jim Goodwin and at Dundee United, they've managed to get a kick. Big Milky's going to need to fucking do something for a kick. I don't know what it is. Got some good players, but I just don't think that Ross County's going to do it.
Paddy?
I'm going to sit in the fence because, well, it is a shock, but I'm not. You can't write Ross County off because they've beaten 3 of the bottom 6 in the last 6 weeks.
Don't get me wrong, I've been on
they
the
can
podcast.
produce a result. Kelly, you would have said at some point they can't win away from home. They go and win away from home. Dundee United 3 games ago, you'd have went stick-ons to go down. They win 3 games in a row. St Johnstone 3 games ago, no chance of being anywhere near it. They're in it. So. And the beauty, and people can slag the top and the split all they want, the beauty of the split is they all play each other. So it comes down to your bottle as much as your performance and as much how you go and approach a game. How much can you deal with that pressure? If you win that game, you go above that team. If you lose it, you're marooned at the bottom, and you don't need to look at, oh, by the way, that's no fair because we've got Celtic away, our Rangers away, our Aberdeen, our Hearts away. They're all playing each other, so there's no excuses. It is genuinely too close to call for me.
Sorry, what about you?
I said Dundee United, but I think Jim's done enough to turn that around now. I fear for St Johnstone.
Do you?
I think every team's got something. Ross County, good home form. Kelly, good home form. I'm not convinced with St Johnstone. Why don't we ask the 4 fans, who do you think will end up finishing bottom of the league?
I want to ask the St Johnstone guy because I've obviously heard from a good source the other week there that played Livy, and he's thought that Livy were poor, but he thought St Johnstone were absolutely shit. So tell me the truth.
I switched it off.
Aye, is it that bad? Are you that bad? What's struggling? Because obviously at some part of the season there, Stevie May was flying. Have he stopped scoring goals, or is it just?
Before we go on, Kev, you said Jim Bet for that strip. What are you saying for that one?
Roddy Grant.
I didn't really follow St Johnstone.
Like Dasovic, no?
Would be
Seen that one,
Paul
no?
Hartley, Tommy Livingston's era. Going back to your point about St Johnstone Livingston, it was one of the worst games I've ever watched.
Yep.
One of the rare times I've enjoyed a game of football in the last 3 months, to be fair.
How bad are you? Stevie May does well when he's got somebody next to him. So when Clark was next to him, he started to score. We've signed Theo Bear. I don't know who was on that transfer, but he's not going to do anything to save us. Got Zach Rudden from Dundee. Why are we signing somebody from the Championship?
They're very similar, aren't they? Rudden and May.
Well, Rudden doesn't stop either, and he is younger. And when he comes on, he's always wants to win the ball, but he's not good enough to keep the ball.
But you made a point about Nicky Clark. Nicky Clark's clever footballer. Used to playing with a partnership, can get the best out. You've got Stevie May and Zach Rudden that they want to chase everything, they want to fight for everything, they want to run in behind, they want to score goals that maybe strikers don't necessarily score, from outside the box or speculative efforts.
Well, see, Stevie May's best season's 2014. Everybody knows that. When he had McLean playing with him, it was little and large. And he scored unbelievable amount of goals. But this season, start season, we didn't have a striker with him, and he was struggling because he's lone striker. He wants to chase everything. Got Nicky Clark in, and we started winning. We started actually doing well up front because there was 2 guys up front. Davidson's problem is he was living on the cup double. Now, Faddy, you did say
That's
your
rubbish,
interview-
Imagine living off of that, man.
I know,
Winning 2 cups
believe me.
this season.
But he is a legend.
Rubbish.
But how long do you give a manager? He was given last season, became second bottom. I think we actually only won because Inverness ran out of steam. Because up to half time in the game at McDermott, they were in it just as much as us. Second half of that, we steamrolled them. This season, he was given the season again. I personally think he should have left at the start of the season because he would have was high, out on a bang and at least showed that he's still a club legend. He still is. I'm not going to take that away from him. But this season, it's going down the exact same route as last season. And this is where we needed a change. Now, the problem that we've got is I don't know if McLean is the right manager to help him.
That was my issue, the timing.
Yeah.
Is it rather than anything? You get rid of a manager with 6 games to go who's won 2 cups for you in the same season. I know, look, you say you can't live off it. I'm sure you live off it with your mates. It's
I will
Dundee
for the
and
rest of my life.
United and everybody else. So it was the timing for me where, and again, why are you sacking the manager? Just because, right?
But St Johnstone don't sack managers.
I know they don't. So the form's not been great. I understand that. Results have been poor. Performance has been poor. If you're going to sack a manager, surely you've got a plan.
Truthfully, I think they should have took McLean with him because he's came in and his one game against Hibs was very much the same carbon copy.
How
formation.
much is it going to change? You know what I mean? That's my point. It wasn't. I thought it was a shocking decision because why wait till you've got 6 games to go? Why wait till you get into battles with teams that, what I've just said, that are in the same position as you, with a guy, I love Steve McLean, I played with him, brilliant guy, great professional, really good football player. He's never managed before.
No.
So you get into these games where you talk about having, character, and he's got it in abundance as a player. I've not seen him coach, so I don't know. But you've also got a manager who has had the success. And listen, the season that Callum Davison had was a freak. Nobody outside the old firm or the traditional big clubs are ever going to do that again.
The thing is, it wasn't even.
But he was there last
6
season.
months.
Well, but he was there last season, and they got you through it. And you've says because Inverness were rubbish and no gave him any credit for it, but it's still a pressure
No, I never
situation.
said they were rubbish. I said they ran out of steam. There was a difference. Is that the second half of the last game they ran out of steam because the first game it was 2-2. They were better than St Johnstone. Second game it was a draw at half time as well. It wasn't until the second half that St Johnstone steamrolled them, and I think they just ran out of steam, and that's because they play more games in the Championship than they do in the Premiership in the playoffs. But with Davidson, if he was in charge, we would have got relegated. There was no. The game against Livingston was the players. You say that they don't give up, but it did look like none of them cared. They just wanted to get off and get away. And I felt sorry for Davidson because the players let him down. At the end of the day, I feel he wanted to do success, and he did do success, but his time was to come. And
They only had to win 2 games, really, with 6 remaining.
I couldn't see it happen.
No?
No.
What they
Who
got?
do you think will
5?
finish bottom?
I hope Ross County.
Have you been on? Would you see yourself doing there? Have you been completely honest?
It'll come down to the Ross County game, I think. But also our last game is at home against Livingston, sorry. And I think that is hoping Livingston have got nothing to play for.
Right, Ross County, we've just battled you there for 5 minutes. Tell us how you got to stay up.
I don't know if I can, to be honest. Personally, I think we'll probably finish bottom. But I think our only hope is really if either Kilmarnock or St Johnstone just collapse. United are probably safe now. Most people could probably see that. But I think because we've got Livingston at home first game, Livingston poor on the form, I think if we could win that, then that does put the pressure on Kilmarnock. But I wish we were playing Kilmarnock early. Kilmarnock last day of the season, I could see it probably being done already by the time.
So the first fixture's you're at home to Livy.
Yep.
And Kilmarnock's.
Wait a
Wait,
minute.
Motherwell.
Well, there you go. 3 points for Motherwell.
Sure.
Everybody's.
Well, I thought that when they
It'll be
played,
an undeserved one, is
Jenny
judging
jinx
everybody
it,
else
Jenny
right now.
jinx it. I thought that when they played Dundee United as well, Motherwell, but then bottled that game. So
I think we're safe, mate. You're struggling.
What's the? You're 4 points off
Kilmarnock and
Kilmarnock. And is it 5 off St Johnstone?
6 off.
6 off? Oh. So it's between you and Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock's got previews of staying up. They'll be fine. You're fucked me, man.
What's
Andy.
that previous?
That's the time I kept them up twice.
Oh, that time.
Right, anyway.
Sorry, recent history I was talking about. Yeah.
Has it just been too hard to replace players like Charles
They
Cook?
lost to Dundee.
I know.
Pretty much, yeah.
He could win you a game single-handedly, couldn't he?
We don't have a winger this season who's capable of playing football. Our two best players are by far Jan Danda. He's been injured the past 4 or 5 weeks, and Brophy, who's injured now.
Brophy's a huge loss.
Yeah, the
Huge
two
loss.
players, like when we beat Kilmarnock 3-0, beat United 4-0, I thought, this will be us fine. And it was Danda and Brophy who were the two best players in those games.
Ryan Edwards is your best player in that Dundee night.
Or Charlie Mulgrew, to be fair.
Hey, leave him.
But now both of them, losing both of them. Like we pretty much don't have a midfield without Danda. There's zero creativity in the team. So,
They were poor.
pretty hopeless.
Trophy a long-term one, or is he due to come back soon? Or
He got injured 2 weeks ago, and Malky said he was going to be out for weeks,
oh,
which doesn't sound. Danda should be back, so I think our only hope. He came off the bench against Aberdeen, and then against Hearts, I think they just didn't even bother trying to bring him on because we're that far behind. But our only hope is if he gets fully fit by the time we play Livy next week, then maybe we might have a chance. But
Do you know why you've got a chance? Your manager. I think you've got a chance because your manager. You lose that game against Hearts, and it was a doing. It could have been more. But he was calm after the game. Look, I know fans sometimes want to see passion and coming out and slating everybody. The slating was done on the pitch. You don't need to come out and slaughter them. He came out and he was calm. He spoke a lot of sense. I think Malky gives you a great chance of staying up.
But then Dale's the same, isn't he, at Kilmarnock?
Aye.
He's very much the same, because after that Celtic result and performance, you think they're going to go to St Mirren and get battered, and he ends up getting a 2-0 win.
And what else? Really, last week, Vassell signed a new deal. Is it Joe Wright signed a new deal as well?
Yep.
And that was before the game at the weekend, wasn't it? And you're thinking, yeah, that's a big statement, really.
Yeah.
Vassell's been excellent. That's a big statement that they're signing on. Gives you a wee bit of confidence that going in. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I didn't think Kilmarnock would get anything at St Mirren. I thought St Mirren were going to go and get the victory because what was at stake, Celtic crowd, Kilmarnock couldn't win away from home, but I think that was a big statement, signing players before you go into that game.
Aye, it kind of shows the intent, you know, that these players are putting trust in the club that will stay up as well, and Dale's putting trust in the players to keep the club up. And obviously, as you say, going to St Mirren, you're not expecting anything. I think a lot of the fans were just going more and, you know, they followed the club all season, and it's a testament to the fans, you know. But it's Kelly, they're so up and down, but Dale, you see it all season. When they need a result, he pulls it out, and that's why I think it's a good thing going into the split. As you say, you're playing teams round about you, they're battles, and he's ready for the battles, and I think that's hopefully going to be the difference for Kelly going into.
What's been the differences in the performances away from home?
It's hard to tell. Sometimes it's as if the players just don't believe they're going to win. You know, at home it's totally different. There's a swagger about them, there's a confidence, but the away performances too often, it's as if they're just. But there has been games away, you know, like St Mirren away earlier in the season, 0-0. Kelly, I would say they were the better team. Trevor Carson had a fantastic game. You know, there was the likes of away to Motherwell, down 2-0, looked defeated, but come back, draw 2 each, Polworth scores a screamer, you know. So there is heart there, there's character, and so often this season he has pulled out a big result when, you know, it looks as if the fans are against him, but then he pulls out big results against the likes of Hearts, you know.
That's experience for me, because you don't get too up and too down. You try and stay level, make sure that you're preparing properly. I mean, it's a question that a manager, certainly Dale, would have been asked, how can you win away from home? And you scratch your head, because everything's the same, preparation, everything's the same, but you've got a manager with that experience, just knowing the players, like sensing when things need to change, whether it's that approach to training or how you speak to the group. When you've got a manager with that experience, it's invaluable, it really is.
That's why I think St Johnstone's going to struggle as well. But I also think Brown, the chairman, wanted to get Tommy Wright back in, but he rejected the chance, and I think that's why we've got.
Would you have been happy with that?
Going backwards is never good, but I think Tommy Wright would have only came in if he was guaranteed the job next season, and I don't think that's the right direction for the club. Don't know who the right direction is for the club, but at the same time,
you'd have been happy with that,
A guy we've kept waiting, Andy Winton, one of the best I've ever heard. Andy boy, how confident are you Jim is going to keep you up? And what a job he's done, mate, hasn't he?
Yeah, done a great job. I'm confident. I don't think we're out of it at all. Because, I mean, we're going to St Johnstone at the weekend. We're taking a big support. We sold nearly 3,000 tickets in half an hour during the week, so the fans are on side, because 2 months ago the fans were really, really unhappy. But you know, if we don't win, and then if County beat Livy at the weekend, then United, because of the way the split works, United play County the next weekend, with County with the opportunity to get off the bottom of the league. So United have had 3 great wins in a row, and Goodwin has really turned it round. I think for a number of reasons, it seems to be a kind of easy trope to throw when you come in, but he talked about the fitness, he talked about doing a pre-season within a season. United have conceded the most amount of goals in the league in the last 50 minutes of games, which is perhaps not surprising when you're at the bottom of the league. Also in the last 50 minutes of first halves, and they've lost the most goals in stoppage time. So I put it down as a mental weakness before. It may have been a kind of physical fitness thing, and he's got the players, from what I can see, much fitter, and they're now turning round games, going to Motherwell, turning a losing deficit, winning the game. They're finishing games strongly, scoring goals late against Livingston, and I think that part of that is the fitness, and there's other reasons as well, but Goodwin's done really well. I'm confident we can stay up, but we're definitely still in the mix.
What do you think of the infrastructure at Dundee United?
Is there a new director of football in place?
No, well, Luigi Capano is the chief executive, but no, Tony's obviously left, and no one's been replaced.
So would you, if Jim Goodwin keeps you up, would you be happy to keep him next season?
If Goodwin, I mean, there's some fans saying even if he doesn't, which I don't quite agree with. I think that the remit has to be stay in the league and you get the job. But yeah, absolutely. At the moment, the supporters are buying him big time.
So if you didn't stop, you would you would get rid of Jim Goodwin?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, United have the 6th biggest budget in the league. They have the biggest budget in the bottom 6, from a 4-point start in Ross County, and then Killeen St Johnstone there. Crunch games. If we go down from there, so I take it it's not Goodwin's players. I get all that, but yeah, absolutely. United shouldn't be relegated.
But if they get relegated, so now you would say Jim Goodwin's no the man to get you back up then?
I mean, it's a difficult one. I wouldn't necessarily rule it out, but I think the remit should be pretty clear, and the remit when he took the job is keep us in the league and you get the job.
So
and there's been interest.
He's come in. Sorry to interrupt you. He's come in there when he's looked like it was inevitable, and he's come in and won, like you say, 3 games on the bounce.
Yeah.
Got his 9 points that have given you a chance to survive, and then you're thinking if you lose a couple of games and gets relegated, you get rid of him.
Well, no, the remit, when we weren't adrift when he took over, he had 12 games to turn it round, and we were kind of 4 points behind teams that aren't necessarily picking up points. So I think it's a reasonable remit to say keep us and you get the job.
I agree.
Put it back on you. Right. Slaney said you were good. You're very good.
I think no more. It's right, because it was everybody looking at it thought, what are you doing? Why are you getting in there straight away? You've left Aberdeen under a cloud with the way the team's performing. You get into a team that, let's be honest, looked highly unlikely to get themselves out of trouble. And not because you could look at Dundee United's squad team and say, should be in the top 6 comfortably, should be challenging up there, 3rd, 4th, 5th, because of the players they've got. But Goodwin in there was a massive risk for him. Yeah, not for Dundee United, for him. Because if he doesn't keep them up, people are now looking at saying, right, you've obviously been sacked for Aberdeen, you've gone into Dundee United, particularly now, winning your 3 in a row, where people are now saying they're going to kick on, they're going to win the games required. So if they don't stay up, then where does that leave him if it doesn't stay on?
And that's where I think the fans really bought into it, taking it on a 3-month deal. You were talking about Tommy Wright not doing that with Kilmarnock, and the fans, because he's staking his reputation on the line to an extent, because if he's got the Aberdeen disaster on his CV and then he gets relegated, albeit not entirely just down to him, but he can't turn around that situation. What's his next move? He might be done in football management. So he really has backed himself, and I think that got instant respect from the supporters. He's probably on a pretty good bonus to keep us in the league, I'm guessing, but that's fair enough because that's when
2-year
if the club-
contract. That's his bonus if he keeps.
Well,
it.
it may well be, and he'll be entitled to it if he does. The same way that Robson's been given it on an interim job, and if you hit the targets and you keep, going down could cost United a lot of money. The owners have already put in a lot of money. I mean, the director's loan account's like 10
making
million
the
quid.
top six has cost you a fortune.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So,
but they did say that if they went down, they weren't bothered.
no, the owners did say it's not the end of the world.
The end of the world, so he wasn't bothered.
Yeah, I think they were just
save St Johnson and come out.
I think they were a bit shocked walking in. I think they'd been shielded because they've been in America.
Aye.
They were over at the Alkmaar game. They're good going into the pubs. Everything was going great. Then they weren't back as far as I'm aware until basically the point where Asgar and Fox left. And like he was waking up in his hotel in Dundee to kind of ask our out signs, outside his hotel room by all accounts. And I don't think they realised, they're kind of softly spoken guys, and I don't think they realised the kind of strength of the anger. I don't think they realised kind of what European football was all about, or Scottish football was about in that extent, and so got a bit of a shock when they came over.
How good's Fletcher been?
He's been so good. I mean, Fletcher.
Bobby, did you take him at Rangers?
No, all day
about
long.
Fletcher,
100%.
and you get. It's not just winning the ball up top, but it's where he directs the headers. So it's unbelievable. The whole
pass.
play. Yeah, it's because he doesn't probably score enough goals, but it doesn't matter because he's so integral to us, and that's why we're still in the mix. Because if he gets injured, we have no other options up front.
Bobby, he's better than your strikers, Stephen Fletcher, comfortably.
Matter of opinion.
It's fact.
It's fact.
Fletcher's been phenomenal for us. I mean, he has been probably our player of the year. I mean, pound for pound, as they said in the United podcast recently, Craig Sibbald from Livingston. But
He's been excellent, Sibbald, hasn't he?
Sibbald, Aziz Biak, the Australian who did that wee waltz through the Argentinian defence who watched the World Cup, which was totally bizarre, kind of going through him, Biak, and Fletcher, the only three that I would give pass marks.
Big guy for Huddersfield's came in and done great.
That's a fair point. He's not been there the whole season, but you're right. And Mulgrew has probably, who'd not been great for the first half of the season, we've switched to back four, and I think they seem to be working well. But you're right. Ian's one of these guys that kind of likes walking forward, comfortable with ball at feet, but I think he could get himself into trouble quite a lot. There's an error in him in most games, but he's raw, but he's a good player. You're right.
He's been excellent.
He's been good since he's come in. But Fletcher has led the line, and he is absolutely key to United.
I just wanted to ask a Kelly fan, did you expect Kelly to be doing better this year than what they were doing? Or did you expect to struggle?
I think there was a bit of hope there pre-season. You've got McInnes there, who's arguably one of the best managers in the league. He's proved that. So there is that hope, but you've also got to be realistic. You're just coming up after a tough season. So staying up was always the initial objective, but there was that hope. You look at other teams who are getting top six, you want to maybe be challenging that, but I think there was a realistic goal of just staying in the league this year and then building.
If you stay up, what do you think you need? Because a lot of the players were obviously there, the Championship. What do you think you need to be where we used to seeing Derek McInnes up in the top six?
I think the issue was a lot of the guys who were signed in the Championship got those 2-year deals, which is probably alright at the time because you're building a squad, but I think they'd certainly have to have a clear out this season. There is players that are hanging on probably in bigger wages than they should be, and obviously McInnes, he's got his recruitment team in that he wants now, so if he does stay up, it's his job to have a total clean slate in the summer, and he has got to bring his own guys in and challenge, and push up the league.
And we spoke about your player that's been on fire, Armstrong.
What a player.
Been frightening, isn't he?
Fantastic, yes. There was fans last season who wouldn't even have kept him after the season in the Championship. He never get much of a run in the Championship, to be fair, but there was I don't think anybody could have expected that he would have come in and been, because he's Kelly's player of the year this season by far. There's no doubt in that.
Sorry, one more. The boy Watson's tremendous. 18-year-old.
Young player, yeah.
Oh, he's fantastic.
What a player.
And fans have known that. We've seen him in the reserves and the youth team, and that was maybe a criticism of McInnes, that he didn't give these boys a chance, but he's obviously been working up, and he was in training for day one with McInnes, so he's known about him, but he's just kind of protected him, and there's kind of rumours about the likes of Spurs. There's no much in that, but there is going to be teams that are down south are going to, I know folk are laughing, but players, for the academy down, with the likes of Brexit, that's going to happen.
Well, you sold one to Newcastle, did you?
Aye, Charlie MacArthur. That's going to happen more and more. Teams are going to take these players for their academy and bolster them.
Finished Snodgrass's Hearts career as well. He was brilliant when they beat us. Very good.
Aye, very good player. I think he might be one that makes that move.
Who'll finish bottom?
I think it'll be Ross County. Aye.
I think County, because we've got 4 points in them. But
have you come down for Dingwall? Oh, just as well. Imagine coming all the way down here for everybody to say Ross County are down.
No chance of doing that.
If you
Right,
want
that's us done. Anything else you want to say before you go? I apologise to anybody for...
Sorry, wee man, the Hearts guy there. Just
Unfair place of love.
Aye,
He's devastated.
Right,
all the Hearts fans I was complimenting and that, and
Scored the running against Tibbs.
This is going
You'll have
out,
to buy a pint and Gorgie again.
This is going out. They're going to be able to see it.
it's all right. I've said some.
Listen, thanks very much for coming.
Aye, no,
Thanks,
thanks
guys.
everybody.
Thanks everyone for the questions.
Cheers.
Thank you. Right, that's us boys.